Let me make sure nobody's. All right, Taylor, if you don't mind, say something for me. Make sure we can hear you. You hear me? Oh, yeah, we're good.
Yep.
Hey, Shane, will you do me a favor and make sure I'm live on YouTube if you got signal? Am I? Okay, good. That's a great thing about having an audience here. All right, guys, I'm going to open up and saying, number one, thanks to Kirkland's for having us out here, every single, well, not every single week, but every other week on Monday night we come out and we try to get a bunch of people to come out to Kirkland's, Big Stone Gap, Virginia, my hometown. And, we get to talk and, eat, drink, and talk fishing. We get to talk to awesome people like, number one, the owner of Omega Custom Tackle, and the it's official now, by the way, you know it, right? The winningest angler in the National Professional Fishing League history, Mr. Taylor Watkins. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm great. I love having you on. You're not too far away. We're gonna have to get you up here live sometime. Bring those 3 trophies, set them on a desk, on a table so everybody can see them. We'll have to put some do not touch because those things are way heavier than what people think they are. But you are the only angler with 3 of them, man. And you bookend the season. You just like, okay, I won my first. I'm just going to kind of chill out a little bit and then go ahead and finish strong. Is that what your plan was all year coming in?
I mean, no, I won. Let's see what I won the last one last year, the first one this year, and the last one this year. So I'm just a ender and starter. I just kick off the season and end it, I guess.
But now it's not like you had a really crappy season. I mean, how many times did you finish in the money out of how many tournaments this year?
The past 2 years, so 12 tournaments, I finished in the money 11 times.
So anybody that needs a loan, he's your guy. He's the guy to come to.
This wonderful company you were talking about me purchasing ate a lot of it.
Yeah, you and we talked to you like shortly, like maybe a month after you won your first tournament.
Yeah.
And so you had literally just bought. I think you just like announced that you just bought Omega.
Yeah.
So,
well, I bought Omega in July. So
was it?
In summer. Yeah.
But so how's all that going? By the way, you're still fishing. So what my buddies told me is that if you ever want to fish, don't start selling fishing tackle.
Yeah, well, they're completely right. So it's been going good. I mean, it's kind of a slow time of the year. Just everybody's deer hunting, including myself, and so we're using that time to kind of make some changes and do some things like that, and getting some things moved around and getting everything lined up, and we're really ready to go for the spring push, I guess.
So you're going to be at any of the shows? Are you thinking about doing some things this spring?
Yeah, we're going to be at Collinsville. I think that's Ohio, maybe Collinsville, Ohio, maybe, and then possibly East Tennessee. I haven't signed on the dotted line for East Tennessee. I will be at the Classic. I don't think Omega will be there, but I will be at the Classic, walking around and shaking hands, doing all that kind of stuff.
Well, I have to vouch for East Tennessee. Now, I've never been to the other one that you'd mentioned, but I've been to a lot, working with a lot of different companies, and I'm telling you, that is probably the busiest and one of the biggest shows that you could possibly go to, other than like the only one that I've been to that's bigger is the Classic. I mean, that's so. And besides, all you got to do is bring them 3 trophies out there. You're going to sell out the first day. You just set them out front and be like, "Yeah, see it."
Call them on this jig right here. This jig. What do you need?
Well, you can't do that. You got to be like, well, I caught some on this buzzbait, some on this,
Yeah.
some on this jig. You know, it was really a team win.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, man. So, you know, I haven't got to hear much about the last win. Let everybody know kind of what lake it was on. Let's hear a little bit about that last one. You know I've seen something going into it. You had to make some pretty serious adjustments. So was practice kind of weird? Where was it at again?
Kissimmee, Florida.
And this time of year, which is really weird for Florida tournaments. Most time you see them in spring for the major tournaments anyway. So what was the fishing like down there?
So practice, well, I guess we'll start like pre-practice, doing homework at home. And there was only really one tournament that I could compare to, and that was a red crest. There was a red crest, or not a red crest. It was a MLF heavy hitters. Heavy hitters was down there in the summer. It was like July or something, somewhere around in there. And it was on Kissimmee. And that tournament was won by Jordan Lee offshore. And so that kind of, you know, told me that there was going to be an offshore bite, most likely. I did have a little bit of advantage because about 5 years ago, I had went to Harris Chain the first week in December for it was a team championship, Bassmaster team championship. I went down there with Casey Magini and who was it? Matt Robertson won that tournament offshore on a shell bed, fishing it just like the Tennessee River. He was throwing a big crankbait, throwing a big swim bait, things like that. And so I kind of had that in mind. And that was just some of the things that I wanted to sample and look at whenever I got down there. Florida is different because where me and you are from, the fish need the water to warm for them to spawn. So in Florida, it's right the opposite. They need the water to cool for them to spawn. So
that's crazy.
The Florida fish right now are in pre-spawn. They start spawning in December. You know, December, January is their big. Yeah. You know, January, February is their big spawning time, and so I just kind of put it in my mind that it was kind of going to be like a pre-spawn kind of deal. Look in those pre-spawn type areas and look for those shell beds that are adjacent to the spawning areas, and that's kind of how I started my practice. And or I guess I didn't just specifically practice that, but I had that in my mind that was how I was wanting to practice and how I was wanting to go about things.
Joseph, just because you said please, that's right. That's the magic word. Well, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's, you know, I've never got to fish Florida. So, you know, tell us a little bit about that lake. You know, was it a lot of grass? Were they moving up? Was the water temperatures dropping? You know, I mean, how did official, you know, your official practice, you know, how did it start? What were the conditions when you first really got there?
When I got there, the water was actually a little cooler. The water was in the mid 70s and probably like 75 to 77. And whenever we got there, it was smoking hot. I mean, I about had a heat stroke whenever I got down there. I think it was like 98, something like that. And it had been in the 30s here in Tennessee. And
Florida heat's just different anyway.
I was sweating. And so the water temperature was actually rising a little bit. And but still those fish kind of time of year, you know, daylight hours, all of those things still are a factor, just like they are in the, you know, pre-spawn for us. The daylight hours are getting shorter, so they understand that time is coming. Whereas our daylight hours are getting longer, so they understand that time's coming. But I started out on Toho. Toho had quite a bit of hydrilla out, you know, offshore, had shell beds and stuff. And I practiced my whole first day on Toho, and I think I caught 1 3-pounder was the biggest thing that I caught. Like, I mean, I caught some smaller fish, you know.
Yeah, but still, that size, 1 3.
One solid 3-pounder, you know, and it just wasn't happening. I I didn't feel comfortable. I never found anything that I really felt like that I could get going, you know. So on day 2, I decided to go to Lake Kissimmee, and I went down to Lake Kissimmee and started just kind of driving around, looking, just hunting, pecking, looking at different things. And I ran through this one little area, and whenever I ran through it, I was on pad, and I said, "Man, that looks good. Like I need to stop there." It was just like one of those gut feelings, you know, like, man, I need.
Now, when you was going through, was it something on the map that made you say I need to stop there, or just something the way the lay of the land was?
So there was a little bit of current in the lake because they had the hurricane and all that, so there had been some current. There still was a little bit of current flowing through the lake, and this is a little. It kind of necked down to go in behind an island, and I mean this is a big area, but it kind of necked down a little bit, and there was one little chute, and all the Kissimmee grass kind of necked down to this one little chute, and then it went back and opened up into a spawning bay. And there was a big spawning bay in behind this island and everything. And whenever I ran through it, I was like, man, I need to check the mouth of that. You know, that's perfect pre-spawn. I bet you there's some shell bars out there in front of this deal. And I went about a half mile, and I just shut down, stopped. And I was like, well, I'll just start, you know, another little area that kind of stood out to me. I was like, I'll just start right here and kind of fish my way back to it. And I made a couple casts, and I spooked a big fish. And then there was a little shell bar in the pads, about 10 feet into the pads. There was a little shell bar. Fish started coming up, schooling and everything. And so I knew there was fish in the area. So I kind of combed that little area a little bit, fished around, caught a couple, had a couple bites. And I'm like, okay, this is an area that I could fish during the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And so I started fishing my way back out to that area that when I ran through, I just had that gut feeling about. And I got out to the mouth of it, and I was fishing down the Kissimmee grass, and I was like, I need to look offshore out here. And I panned out with my live scope, and wherever I panned out with my live scope, I mean, my screen just lit up. I was like, holy moly at all the fish out there. I was like, there's no way those can be bass. There's just too many of them. And I picked up a jerk bait, and I fired a jerk bait out, and I snatched it down about 4 times, and I found it with my live scope. About 6 of them shot up off the bottom, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I twitched it one more time, and a 5-pounder ate it. And I'm like,
heck yeah.
And so I got that one off, and I kind of went just a little ways and panned around. And I'm like, man, there's another big group of them, you know. Fired jerk bait out there, snatched it down, 4 or 5 of them come up to it, catch another one about 4. Well, then I just put my rod down, and I just started looking, you know, and as I panned around and kind of trolled around a little bit, it was one of the biggest schools of fish that I've ever seen. I mean, it looked like old school Tennessee River ledge, you know. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is the spot. Yeah. And an hour later or so, my wife called, and she's like, how's practice going? And I said, I found the winning spot. And she's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, no, if they stay, I found the winning spot on this lake. So, yeah.
So now when you talk about offshore down there, you know, were they out there kind of suspended? Were they hanging off of some sort of little drop? Were they just over a shell bed out there? What kind of had them out there like that?
There was a bunch of bait. There was a bunch of, well, I guess they were about that long, a bunch of shad out there. I don't know what kind of shad it was. But there was shad out there. There was a bunch of bait out there, and it was just shell. It was, they were probably about the size of a $50 or so, or a little bigger. Like, I could drag that worm, and they would actually latch on to my line or onto the head of my worm. And then I would bring shells in sometimes. And it was just a good hard bottom area out there with a shell bed with a bunch of bait. And then that little area just kind of funneled down. And where it funneled down, those fish were just congregating right out in the mouth of that thing. And there was a little bit of current coming through. Any kind of wind or anything like that created current. And it was just a good feeding spot for those fish to feed up.
So now, did you have it to yourself? Were there any? Well, you know what? Before I even ask you that, you know, you were talking about Kissimmee grass, and so for us guys up here, like you said, now I'll let you. You know, you don't have to give your home address or anything, but you know, you live just outside of Knoxville, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're not going to hold it against you that you're technically an Alabama boy, right? But,
Yeah.
we're not going to hold that against you. So, but, yeah, so, you at least you made the right decision. You moved to Tennessee. But, so what? Tell everybody kind of what is Kissimmee grass? What are you talking about exactly when you talk about Kissimmee grass? If you can describe it. I know you don't necessarily have a picture of it, but
Kissimmee grass is it grows on that chain of lakes down there on Lake Kissimmee and Harris. I'm sure it's on a bunch of those other lakes down there too, but it's kind of like a hay grass type deal. It's not really a matted type of vegetation. It's stalks. They're probably, I don't know, they're not even the size of your pinky, and they grow up from the bottom, and there'll be like little clumps or whatever. It almost looks like hay. It kind of looks like hay in there, and it just lines the entire lake as far as you can see. I mean, there's just Kissimmee grass everywhere, but there's also other grasses that'll mix in with it. So it'll be like Kissimmee grass, and then there'll be some pads, some lily pads mixed in, and one pattern that I actually found that saved my entire tournament. I actually found this pattern on day 3 of practice. I went back to Kissimmee on day 3 of practice because I knew I'd found that school of fish, and I wanted to find something else to do in case those fish left or something else happened. I knew I was going to be on Lake Kissimmee, and I found a little deal throwing that worm on the edge of the Kissimmee grass, but it had to have pencil reeds in it. And a pencil reed is about the size of your pinky, little buggy whip type deal, Yeah. Anywhere that I could find that there was a little patch of those pencil reeds mixed in with the Kissimmee grass, there would usually be a good fish on it if it was on the main lake, somewhere on the main area on the edge of that Kissimmee grass. So one of the biggest parts was having that stuff mixed together. If you just got like a big long line of Kissimmee grass, yeah, you can catch some fish out of it. But if you get that mixture and you figure out that right mixture, that's what you can really key in on. But there was some guys catching some good ones out of that Kissimmee grass, flipping and fishing the edge of it as well. And in the end, the fish actually moved off of that main spot and tucked into that little ditch into the edge of the Kissimmee grass and the pads that were mixed right there in that little ditch. They actually moved about 100, 200 yards or so off of that main area into that little ditch. So
now, do you think it was it the pressure of you fishing them, day in, day out, that kind of, pushed them there, or was it a change in the conditions, you think, that kind of
absolutely a change in the conditions. Me and another competitor fished that spot the first day. I caught 20 pounds off of it and then went and ran my other little deal and caught up a couple of times. He ended up with 26 pounds.
I caught 20 pounds off of it and then just went somewhere else. I was like, yeah, I'm done.
I mean, that was my goal,
I can call over here and get 25.
But day 2 of the tournament. So day 1 went picture perfect, just as pretty as you please. I pulled up, I caught 20 pounds, a little, right at 20, went and kind of started hitting my little secondary stuff and just checking things to see what was going on, trying to learn more, and ended up culling up twice to 24 pounds. I thought if I could catch 20 pounds a day, I would win. And so I got to that 20-pound mark on that spot, and I wanted to save those fish for day 2 and day 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I fished them for.
And that's the difference between fishing, a single day tournament and a multi-day tournament right there. Because that's what I'm saying. I would have sat right there and just burn them up, come back the next day and wouldn't have nothing.
Yeah. So, but I day 1 picture perfect. Day 2, we got down there, winds gassing at 20 mile an hour, 15, 20 mile an hour. There's 1.5 waves crashing on this place. Kissimmee grass is just waving around all over the place. And I think that's what made those fish move. It pushed the bait. The wind was blowing out of the north. It pushed that bait into that ditch. And there was another line of shell bar down that little ditch and down the edge of that Kissimmee grass. So they just repositioned into that little ditch. And I actually found them on day 2. I fished around, me and the other competitor fished around, and I went to my little secondary spot that I had told you that I had stopped on like a half mile down. I went down to it, fished it for a minute, caught one keeper, and I come back and I stopped short in that ditch. And I fished my way through that ditch on day 2. And that's when I actually relocated those fish that were out there on that offshore deal. I relocated those fish, but I really couldn't get them to bite. I couldn't get them to fire. I caught a couple. I caught 2 decent ones. I probably had like 12 pounds, something like that. Nothing great, but I could see those fish there. So I knew they were there. And day 2, what saved my entire tournament was finding that little secondary deal that I was telling you about, the little Kissimmee grass with the pencil reeds in it. I had rode the entire lake and marked a few places on my map that there was some mixture like that around. And I had went and tried to hit some of that earlier during the day, but the wind was blowing so hard, everything was just blowed out. Everything I had found was blown out. And it was coming down to crunch time. It was 2:00. I had to be back at 4:30. I still had to run all the way up through 2 lakes, go through a lock, all that deal. And I sit down and I pull up my map of the lake where I had rode around, and I saw one mark that I had marked up on the northeast side of the lake. And I was like, that area will be out of the wind. I need to go check that area. And so I ran across the lake all the way up there. And at 2:15, I caught a 5-pounder. And then at like right at 3:00 or so, I caught another 4-pounder, got me up to 17 pounds and saved my entire tournament.
Awesome.
So, just saved the day on day 2.
So now I don't want to start controversy, but I got to ask you, did you, when the second competitor pulled in, did you hike your shorts up to your belly button and do your best Tommy Biffle impression? Hey, this is mine from here to here. You don't fish here. It's my creek. I love Tommy Biffle. I'm a big fan, but I love him. We always hear Tommy Biffle giving people heck about stuff like that. So
on day 1, I was there first, and he pulled up, and wherever he pulled up, I was catching the fish wherever he pulled up, and
always nice to catch him with an audience.
We talked it out, we talked it out and just kind of decided that, hey, us 2 are going to be the only 2 that fish this area. Like, we'll just duke it out and see how it goes. But
there you go.
Luckily, for me, the fish repositioned and moved.
Yeah.
So whenever those fish repositioned and moved, I was able to get on them quick. I had a plan going into day 3. Whenever I went, going into day 3, I ran down there. I pulled up on that main area, live scoped around. I saw that those fish weren't set back up over there. I stuck my nose in that ditch, and the rest is history. Whenever I stuck my nose in that ditch and I was looking at live scope, I'm looking, and I turned around and told my cameraman, I said, hey, they're here and it's about to go down. Like,
it's about to go down.
And it did, buddy. It went down. I sacked up right at 24 pounds in about 30 minutes.
Wow, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I need a day like that. I've never had close to a day like that. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions. Mike, nice hat. By the way, if anybody wants to buy a brand new Camus, good and broke in for you, all the problems worked out, you need to go check out Taylor's Facebook page, because he's got his boat for sale. His boat is supposed to be in January. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I think Rex has got mine, and big shout out to Kevin, the regional sales guy. I think mine's supposed to be here around the end of February, 1st of I started to say March. Man, that would have been real bad. I said that out loud. That was just supposed to be me thinking. But February, so the end of January, 1st February, I hope. But
I got one rigged out, buddy. It is loaded to the gills. Lithium batteries, whole 9 works. And
it's got the good juju on it. 2 winds in it. If you want a boat that's just, it's like Buddha. You rub its belly, you're ready to go win. All right, Travis. I can't see it. That's got to be a crazy feeling knowing all those fish are stacked in there and you have a good chance of winning. Yeah.
I would like to talk about that. So
Yeah. Talk
I
about it.
found that place on day 2, and it's one of those deals. It's where it's like, man, and I told my wife this several times, and I had a couple buddies call, how's practice going, blah blah blah, and it's one of those things. It's like almost like a no hitter, like you don't talk about it. It's like you don't want to say like but it's like
Yeah.
yeah, and you're like, I had a good practice, but if they stay, like if they
Yeah.
stay,
If they
or
stay.
if things go right, or and then in the back
Yeah.
of your mind, you're going, I'm gonna go down there and wreck them, but but you never know. It's fishing. I mean, I could have pulled up and there not been a single fish there,
Yeah.
or maybe the wind blew on day 1 and blew it out, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to sleep for 3 nights whenever that's sitting down there,
Yeah. I'd say
and
it
you're
is.
hoping somebody else don't find it. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
am I going to pull up and there's going to be 10 guys on this thing, or
Yeah.
and wherever I was boat 40, and I'm the
Ooh.
whole time I'm looking, I'm straining my
Yeah.
eyes, like, is there anybody there? Is there anybody there? And I pulled up and there's nobody there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. So yeah, it's a wild feeling.
That's I think that's always the scariest. Like if you have a spot or two that there's the potential for even a good finish in a tournament, worrying about because no matter what tournament you're fishing in, you're fishing against some good sticks, and you always have to worry about those guys finding those fish because everybody is good and they're going to well, like you said, another guy had found those fish. So I mean, somebody else generally is going to find them. It's going to happen.
Yeah, he told me we were fishing on day 1, just chit chatting or whatever while we were fishing. His wife was practicing with him, and they saw me ride by on day 3 because I rode the whole lake. I mean, I rode the whole lake and I rode by, and he told his wife, he said, if there's anybody on this lake that'll find those fish, and he said, sure enough, I pull up and who's sitting here?
That's too funny, man. That's too funny. Oh, all right. So somebody's asking about the water temp on South Holston. I was out there about a week ago. It was 58, 59 with this cold. I'd say it's probably 54, 55. You guys know what it's been? So, yeah, I'd say you're probably looking at that sort of water temp down there. Anybody fishing Virginia know if the top water's still on? Not the lakes near me in Virginia. Any sort of top water going on around here you all know about? Now I know on South Holston you can still go catch them on some top water, but you need it to be more of a calm day. All right. Which color? Oh, I can't tell you that yet. I can't tell you that yet. That's in a video coming up next. I can't tell you that. Actually, I got to talk to Kevin. I called Kevin today. He's supposed to call me back. I know it's Thanksgiving week, so I don't know if I know they're shut down during Christmas. I don't know how much time they're taking off, but we're going to do a whole plant tour video, the whole 9 yards. All right. So now, me and you were talking about something, and you can say, no, I don't want to say it, before we went live. And so I was going to ask you one of the questions, and you say, I'm not going to tell it yet. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to say anything. No pressure. But I won't be your friend if you don't tell. No, I'm kidding. He's way better angler than me, so I could get all the daggone information I can out of him before he goes really, really big time and never talks to me again. So do you want to tell everybody? What's your plan?
It's good. We can talk about it. We're gonna have to talk about it, so it's not a big deal. Like we're gonna.
Okay. I didn't want to put you on the spot.
Everything's good. Like
Okay.
we're all good. Everything's all good. So go for it.
So now you've dominated the NPFL. Winningest angler. So what's your plans for next year?
So yeah, so I signed up for all 9 opens.
Shoo. First off, that's a lot of travel.
Yeah, man, I love the NPFL. Those guys are phenomenal. They have, I mean, if it wasn't for the NPFL, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
That's true.
100%.
Not like that's a big benefit.
But I mean, I'm just saying, in general, all the opportunities. If it wasn't for the NPFL, I wouldn't have Omega. If it wasn't for the NPFL, I wouldn't be where I am today in 2 short years. I mean, look at how my career has exploded in 2 years. So I owe a lot to them. But and I've talked to the staff there and everything, and they completely understand, and I will always have a home at NPFL.
Oh, yeah.
They will always.
NPFL, listen, I'm a huge fan, number one. I hope we're going to get Adam Savage on, who's also an NPFL angler. He's got a great story about how he kind of got in. If not for the NPFL, I wouldn't have probably ever got to meet you. Yeah. I wouldn't have got to meet John Soka, Adam Savage. There's a lot of good anglers. They do such a good job with the schedule and allowing guys who work for a living to go out and compete in a professional upper level tour, So I'm a huge fan. I hope actually I'm going to reach out and I might lean on you, but I want to get one of the upper level guys in so we can talk about maybe next year, and talk about the future of the NPFL. I think it's a great tour. I think they're doing great things. And I know, you are definitely one of the guys. And I told John this after his first win, just talking to him. John's going to be a superstar, and I feel the same way about you. You can just, I know you're an Alabama boy, Tennessee guy, Tennessee River sort of guy, but you win everywhere you go, and you do well everywhere you go. Your wins this year really says it all. I mean, you won on Cumberland Lake in Kentucky, which is the highest of the Highland reservoirs. I mean, that sucker, you go into a creek and it's 120 feet in the middle of it, and you're 10 foot from the creek where it runs in, and then you go to some place like Florida where, what the Kissimmee chain, what's the average depth? Like deep spots are 20 foot,
Yeah, 10. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I've never run stuff like that. I'm like out here in these, Cherokee and stuff like that, running the creek channels. Like, all right, we're 100 feet, we're good. It gets like 20 feet, and I'm scared to death.
So, I mean, and I finished third too at Sandusky Bay. Smallmouth. And smallmouth. That was a huge confidence builder for me, personally, to be able to go up there. And because, I mean, I wasn't terrified, but I was like, when I saw that on the schedule, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like, this is going to be a big test. And to get up there and get that experience, I wouldn't have got that experience if it wouldn't have been for NPFL. So I owe a lot to them, and I appreciate them. And I encourage anybody that is thinking about stepping up to the next level. If you can go to the NPFL, you can learn quickly because you don't have co-anglers. You don't have, I mean, yes, there's pressure. There's lots and lots of pressure. Yeah. But, you can make some money. There's some money to be made there. If you cut a check at the NPFL, like you're going to make a little money, whereas in the opens, you're kind of paying your dues, and that's what it's about is you go to the opens and pay your dues. And once you qualify, then, hopefully you've got the sponsor backing then to kind of push on to the next level. But I've got to try, I've got to go for it. And if it doesn't work out, then I hope and I pray that those guys will take me back. And
as much as, I mean, listen, I think the the Major League Fishing is doing great things, but I mean, let's face it, nobody's grown up, at least not close to our age, dreaming about fishing. Yeah, there's one trophy you dream about lifting.
Yeah,
everybody does.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's going to be. I think you'll do great in the opens next year. Uh, I'm not. I'm like you said. I'm not going to jinx it, but I trust and believe in you. How's that?
Yeah.
So I think you'll get the job done and end where you want to end at. All right, I got an answer. Rob is asking, "What am I drinking this evening?" Swear it's just Coke. No, I'm kidding. This is my all-time favorite out of Johnson City, Yeehaw Brewery, the Dunkel. So they're in Knoxville now. So opening up a spot down there. So now let's talk about Omega. So what? And I know we've talked about this, but for everybody else that hasn't talked about it, what what inspired you? You're so busy, man. Every time I look at your Facebook page, you're stinking holding up some fish somewhere, fishing some tournament. What was it? Did I see you fishing a crappie tournament or something somewhere? Or was it a bass tournament?
I fished a Spro tournament down there.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how the heck you got time to run a tackle company, man?
Well, number one, I got an awesome wife, so that's a lot. But
Amen.
she keeps me straight, and keeps the train on the tracks. I went deer hunting last week, and we talked, and it was like I left Saturday, and then about Wednesday or so we talked, and she's like, about time for you to get your butt home. We got a lot of work to do. Like, all right.
You've had enough fun, buddy. Let's get it here.
Yeah. You've had your fun. Like, come on home. So, but yeah, she's awesome. And, Omega was a strictly business decision. So if I'm going to continue to do this and I'm going to go chase the opens and chase an elite series and chase a classic and all that stuff, I don't want the rug to be able to be jerked out from under me. I've got some great sponsors. Bass Boat Electronics. They've been absolutely phenomenal to me. I mean, I can't ask for better people. Jason and Chad. I think I saw Chad on here. I mean, those guys are absolutely phenomenal. And Baitworks. Baitworks has helped me out, and Pro Guide batteries. Pro Guide batteries have been awesome. But on the contrary, I want to have something that I can always depend on, that I can be in control of and control my own destiny. And I'll always have that title sponsor that can pay some entry fees, and then my other sponsors will, push on to that next level. And so that was the reason for purchasing Omega. Of course, I want to be able to help other anglers too. That's one of the big deals is I want to be able to grow this thing big enough that I've got a couple of guys that I'm helping out this year, and I want to be able to help more. I'm helping these guys before I'm doing anything for myself, but I want to do that. I want to help other anglers grow. I want to, have a good platform for myself. And I mean, I don't want to be selfish or anything, but why else buy a business?
Hey, you're the owner, man. There's perks to that.
Yeah. I didn't buy it for the fun of staying up till midnight every night, but yeah, I mean, it was strictly a business decision, and I like the fishing industry. I like the people in it. I want to help the people that are in it. I want to, help these guys. I want to see that kid that was me and say, hey, I want to walk across the stage one day, and I want to tell them, all right, well, get out there and prove yourself, and I'll help you along. I've had people that have helped me along, and I want to do that for other people, your kids coming along too.
And you definitely don't do this by yourself, man. It really takes, professional angling to be successful. It really does take
an army,
a community. I mean, it's not just you. You have and 90% of those people are volunteers. They're just, people that are doing a lot of stuff for you out of the kindness of their heart to get you there.
Yeah.
And then those people that are helping, like with Omega, that are, a lot doing the things that you would normally be doing, so that you can get out there for that week or two and really prep and be successful and not have to worry about that and focus on your job. So anybody from your wife to the people that work there, it takes, like you said, it takes an army to get to where you need to be.
Yeah.
Now, okay, before I ask you the next question, I do have to do something. So first off, I want to shout out, because a good buddy of mine, Donnie Robbins, brought some stuff. We are doing a giveaway tonight, everybody. We are doing a giveaway as always. And no, you're not getting any of my Omega stuff that he sent me. So no. Sorry about your luck. It's mine. He sent it to me. You can't have it.
You can go to omegacustomtackle.com and get all you want.
There you go. There you go. And we'll make sure we put links in the description for that too, by the way. Omega Custom Tackle. And you can get it, by the way. You can also follow my Tackle Warehouse links and go buy it there too. Just in case you didn't know that. So Donnie, who runs a Facebook page, Hooked Up Fishing, and it's a great Facebook page. Make sure you go out there and check him out. He put some stuff in. I'm going to show you some of this stuff. So you got some Ozark Trail. I got to remember which way's which, because I keep moving the wrong direction. Fishing pliers. You've got a Lunker Hunt Battle Beetle. Let me go the other direction, because I always get it wrong. And you got an Arashi, and by the way, one of my favorite things in the world is always going to be, and I know it's going to be one of Taylor's too, deep diving crankbaits. So we got an Arashi Deep 25. That might not go to you guys, so I may just go ahead and put that in my pocket. And guys, there's a company out. I'm not partnered with them, have nothing to do with them, but I found them in Watkins one day, and I think they are a great company. Again, I'll put links in the description where you can get them online. They're hard to find online, but there is a couple of places. And this is a killer kit right here. It's called Fish Life. They do sell the individual products on Tackle Warehouse, but tell me this fish aid kit. That's just not awesome. And, so I'm going to give away one of these. And the reason why I'm giving away this is because you're fishing deep this time of year in the wintertime, at least up here. And, we want to protect our resource. And so, it comes with fin clips. It comes with fizzing needles. And like, I love to Damiki rig this time of year, and I can Damiki rig. I was out actually fishing for them 55 foot just the other day. Like, not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before that. You've got the stop bleed. And believe it or not, this was out before the G-Juice was out. So this live well treatment has been out on the market for a long time. And, I reached out to him. I told him how impressed I am with this kit and how much I just think it's a great kit for people to have. And, not just during the wintertime. I have fished a lot of tournaments, a lot of BFLs, where I've seen a lot of fish floating upside down. And that is something that if you guys are not learning how to take care of your fish, I'm going to punch you in your stupid faces. So I'm just going to be blunt about it. If I see you releasing floating fish, I'm punching you, okay? Learn how to fizz a daggum fish. All right. All that being said, I'm going to give you something to fish deep with. So here's some Yum sonar minnows and some Bass Munitions, which is still around. Oh crap, I forgot what these are called. But anyway, they're Bass Munitions. So 2 colors that I actually like a whole lot. Now, we'll do the giveaway here in just a few minutes. Taylor's all weirded out because I'm threatening people.
All right, I'll back you up.
See?
You're a big boy. I think you can handle yourself. I'll just stand back and be like, yeah, you
I'm just going to sit back and go, get them.
Get them.
Taylor, he knows, man. Take care of your fish. Take care of your fish, people.
Yeah,
All right.
our fish care penalties are 1 pound.
Yes, and
So
that's
care is utmost important.
and what a lot of people that don't fish tournaments don't know. If you have a fish that die, you can't call it. you don't get to throw it back.
No.
So if it's a line burner and you don't keep care of it, you weighing that sucker in whether you just got a 5-pounder that you wish you could. So yeah. But cold water, like I know that I fish real deep. You fish deep down on the Tennessee. What lake do you really consider your home lake down there now?
Watts Bar.
Watts Bar. So are you fishing deep during the winter time? Do they move out there? They just move out on a ledge? I've not really fished there during the winter time. So I mean, do they still ledge? I've heard that on like Chick, they'll move into like the ditches to get out of the current.
Yeah,
A lot.
it's not like summertime where they're out on the ledge as much. I mean, there's probably some out there on those bars and stuff right now, but they're gonna get behind something to break that current. Whereas in the summer, they're gonna be up in that current. They're just kind of repositioned to where that current's coming over the top of something, and they're just kind of sitting back behind it, feeding.
Gotcha.
They're not gonna sit up there in that current and just fight it. They're gonna sit in behind something or a bend where it makes a bend, they'll sit right in behind where that bend is and then let that feed to them. But
so now, not giving away all your secrets down there, but most of them, please. What temps do they start to move into that sort of pattern?
I would say right about now, moving into that December kind of time frame is usually where we start doing that pretty well. I've had some of the best trips I've ever had to Watts Bar in Chickamauga was like over Christmas break and New Year's.
Yeah.
And catching them on dirt bait, cranking, Alabama rig, stuff like that. And
one of these days, I'm going to get you to come up here with me. Right around this time to about the same time you said, around Christmas. And we'll get out there and do some of that Demiki rigging when they're out there in 55 and 80 feet of water chasing alewives on the bottom, and you're like dropping, to them. It's pretty neat, man. It's pretty fun.
I've never done anything like that before, so I'd love to do that.
It's so much easier with the live scope now because now what you do is you find those balls of shad. Like I'm out in the middle of a gut the other day. I'm actually on a point and I'm finding some fish, on that point, but there's no real shad out there. So the wind's blowing pretty rough. It blows me, kind of out in the middle. I'm like right out in the middle, center part of this creek, the middle third. And there they are, dude, just sitting down there chasing shad in 55. Like the bottom is 55 and the shad are like maybe 5 foot above it. You can just see them. And so those are the ones, because they're active, that you really want to target. The old school sort of Demiki, like you can still catch them with like a 2D and pull over top of them, but they're so conditioned to that now that if they're not active and they're just kind of sitting there chilling, they'll come up off the bottom and you think, oh my God, yes, I'm about to get, and then they'll just be like, oh, no, I know what that's a, white Demiki armor shad. I mean, they can tell you what it is.
There's a big guy wearing a Camus hat up there, but I'm not going to buy that.
That's that BassGeek fat guy. I'm not eating his bait. So Joshua Murphy in Florida, would you say 5 to 10 would be a good pattern if faced with it? I don't 5 to 10. All right, Josh, you're gonna have to clarify that up a little bit. You think you know what he's talking about?
I don't know if he's talking about depth or I'm not sure. 5 to 10 feet depth. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Is that what were the fish depth wise that you kind of targeted down there?
About 6 foot, 6 to 7 feet deep.
Yeah, so right there. All right.
But the problem is the whole lake is about 6 to
5 to 6. Yeah. All right, Ashley Higgins. Any tips on fishing upstate South Carolina this time of year? Lake Succession.
Suggestions, probably.
Yeah. So beside Hartwell. Well, there's actually a lake called Succession, I believe, right there beside Hartwell. So you know anything about that, man? What do you think?
I've never heard of that lake before. I've heard of Kiwi.
Yeah, Kiwi, yeah.
Beside Hartwell. I don't know. I mean, right now, my deal, if I'm going fishing right now, it doesn't matter really where I'm gonna go. I'm targeting shad. I mean, I'm like you, like, and somewhere it's about to start transitioning into the kind of crawl type patterns, like your jig, your crankbaits, your, that kind of. But I'm always gonna have that Alabama rig, jerkbait, Demiki, small swim bait kind of deal, always there tied on. But yeah, I mean, man, this time of year, I mean, spinner bait, any kind of channel swing areas, going out of the pockets, going into the pockets. That's kind of where I would be looking and what I would be doing.
Well, now I can tell you, like I said, it's been today is Monday, so not last Thursday, but Thursday before that, I was on South Holston, again, a Highland Clearwater Reservoir, and they were 2/3. So they had not even pushed the shad to the back of the creeks yet.
Yeah.
So it, and like I said, I think the water temps were 60, 61.
Oh, wow.
So
pretty warm still.
Yeah, maybe 58. It was still pretty warm. This cold front, like I said, it's probably down in the mid 50s right now. So what, and I know you've already looked at the schedule. So give me, out of 9 lakes, give me your top 3 that you're looking forward to the most. You feel the most confident about.
In the opens?
Yeah.
Oh, man, Watts Bar.
I forgot about Watts Bar. I should have been like, no, minus Watts Bar. Of course, Watts Bar.
Man.
So other two.
So Lake of the Ozarks is one that I'm really looking forward to. And then, like, as far as just fishing wise, we're going to St. Lawrence River, and that's like a bucket list. But like, I'm probably gonna go up there and get my butt kicked. But like, I don't know. As far as winning wise, definitely Lake of the Ozarks, definitely Watts Bar. I like Eufaula, Alabama. I like Eufaula a lot. It's changed a lot since we fished at NPFL there, and it had changed a lot since the last time I was there. So hopefully it's changed a lot the other direction now where we go this time, but I doubt it. It's probably going to be a brush pile deal again. But Toledo Bend, I'm kind of excited about Toledo Bend. It's going to be a spawning type tournament, maybe a flipping, spinnerbait, swim jig kind of deal. And I mean, I haven't won a tournament like that yet, and that's kind of my bread and butter. So
right up your Omega alley.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, we're going to definitely be keeping up with you. All right, guys. We've been in here for almost an hour, so we're going to cut it out at about an hour. We'll do the giveaway right when we've been here at about 60 minutes. We'll talk a little bit more. John Kelly says, speaking of protecting our resources, would moving local tournaments to catch-weight release format, something like the Connect scale, benefit? So what's your opinion on that? Because I'll tell you, I've seen even catch and release, and a lot of it depends on water temperature, but even catch and release, like like you still lose about 30% of the fish. Even if you just catch, like I'm out there having fun and I catch a fish and turn it loose, about 30% of those fish still don't make it. So what do you think? You heard anything? You got any intel?
I don't see in the near future how to do a local tournament like that, catch, weigh, release.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had the biggest debacle we've ever seen in fishing period a couple months ago, and you go catch, weigh, release. Oh boy, I can only imagine, all that would be going on. But I think what could happen is, I know on these lakes around here, you got 3 different Monday nighters, 4 different Friday nighters, whatever. If we could get all these guys together and have one tournament, twice a week instead of 4 tournaments 7 days a week, I think you're going to have a bigger turnout. You're going to have a bigger tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, there's going to be more money to be won. There's, you could do $25 entry fee, pay deeper into the field type deal instead of a $45 entry fee and pay in 2 places. You could do a $25 entry fee and pay 15 places if you got 60 boats. I know all these guys. I did it. I love it. Like, I like going and just fishing on Tuesday nighter. But we need to be smarter about it. We need to get together and make these things and understand why there's so many. Well, so and so don't like so and so. This person don't like that person. This person always wins.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I understand all that. We like fishing with our buddies. But I think we all need to come together and cut down on the amount of tournaments that are going on every single day.
I agree.
And I think that would make a huge difference in our population.
Well, I think, a lot of bad came with COVID, but for the outdoor industry, a lot of good came with COVID. And we finally started to see people go back to the outdoors. Now, we don't know how that's going to balance out over the next, 2-3 years once, everything's lifted. But, we have finally started to see a growth in the sport, in the purchase of fishing license, in recreational fishing, in general. And that's good and bad. We're seeing, of course, we were talking about it here before, high school fishing. I live in a small rural community with, several high schools really close, but, and they haven't kind of caught on to the whole high school fishing. But you can go to, the University of Tennessee, University of Alabama, so many different, one of the best schools out there is, I'm going to say the wrong name. So I'm going to let you take over the school down on the Chick.
Bryan College.
Bryan, yeah. They win a ton of tournaments. They've got a great team. Carson Newman down around Douglas, King College, ETSU. You can get a full ride to go fishing. That's crazy. But and there's good and bad things about growing the sport. I spoke to Denny Brower years and years ago, and he said the one thing that's going to hurt fishing as it grows is that we're not building new reservoirs.
Yeah.
And, so that means the reservoirs we have are going to get more pressured. And, we talked to Matt Herron about that too. He was on a few weeks ago. And, it's great to see, because without getting the youth out there, and as well as I do, most kids don't want to do anything but play video games and watch YouTube.
Yeah.
So, I think we are going to have to be, we're going to have to get ahead of this curve as tournament guys and start pressuring to figure out what we need to do. Because it's been everywhere. I've heard, fishing has been so tough this year. And a lot of that has been because, every tournament I've fished, there's been a high school tournament going on the same day and, 2 other, local club tournaments. And, a lot of that you can say just suck it up, Buttercup, and be a better angler. It's the new norm. But I don't know. Like you said, I think a lot of it maybe if we just start getting, consolidating some of these tournaments, I think it'll help a lot.
Well, and you think about it. So all of these lakes and stuff up north, like I got the opportunity to go to Sandusky Bay. I got the opportunity to go to Saginaw Bay. Saginaw Bay was it was unbelievable. I mean, I caught 40 to 50, 60 fish, 70 fish a day, every day. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I was running out of stuff. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm just digging
never
through
into that.
and things to throw because I'm running out of it. They were just tearing it up. And but you got to think those lakes up there for what 4 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year froze over south. So they get a break, they get a rest. The fish are not getting messed with. They're able to recoup and do things like that. Well, here where we're at, they're fished 24/7.
7 days, 365.
365. I mean, I guarantee you there's some cat out there night fishing right now.
I guarantee it.
It's like 12 degrees out there. He's probably out there still getting it. Like, I mean,
yeah. He's like, man, I caught 20 pounds of smallmouth just last night. I swear.
Yeah. But, and I don't know, maybe, I mean, I love fishing. I love fishing all year, but maybe we could put a season on it a little bit, like, hey, from November to January 1, we, no fishing. I don't know. And even maybe like certain lakes, it jumps around, for your region. Maybe we chop it up into regions, and this particular lake is, off limits for this time. And then you could go to other lakes, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answers, and I'm just throwing out ideas. I'll probably get crucified on here, but
no. It's everybody. I think this is what it's really going to take to make fishing great again. is
BassGeek for Bass President.
But is to we've got to brainstorm, we've got to talk about it, and it's going to start with us because we know the powers that be aren't going to do anything until we start saying hey, until we start asking questions. We just need to make sure we keep open minds and work together. I mean, that's the thing. It's great that hey, this is the way we've always done it, but the way we've always kind of done things is also maybe not going to be, because I even know I read like 2-3 years ago that what is it, Paris landed on Kentucky Lake. And I know Kentucky Lake is having a lot of problems, not just, because they're fighting the whole Asian carp thing. But I know Paris Landing was saying we're not going to allow, summer tournaments anymore because I was just joking, of course, about punching people over, not learning how to take care of fish. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to do it and don't do it correctly. Yeah. In summertime, they're so susceptible. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've had fish die on me. I mean, anybody that says they haven't, they are liars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna happen to you, even if it hasn't. And I mean, I feel bad about it, but it happens. Anyway, I didn't mean for this to turn into that, but let's talk about the happy stuff.
I mean, it's all good. I mean, it needs to be talked about. It
does. It does.
And you need to brainstorm and have ideas. I mean, you're never going to make everybody happy, but
no.
And I say, whenever I say like no fishing, I mean, I guess I mean more like tournament wise.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, recreational fishing is, especially during the winter time. I mean, you might have 10 or 15 guys out there or something, but man, we got to figure out a way to give it a break. And really and truly when that break needs to be is during the spawn. But it is one of the greatest times to fish and best times to fish. But
it is.
And maybe it's something like Texas is doing, like at Lake Fork, like we put a slot limit on it. You can't bring anything in that's over 22 inches.
Maybe, like maybe during that during that spawn. That's actually a great idea. I never thought about it. Just putting it on during the spawn. Yeah.
Even year round, I mean, and certain tournaments get an exemption, to do that. Now, I know it would make for tournament weights to be tough, but I mean, look at Lake Fork. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
where the bass guys go there.
Well, look at what Texas. I'll say Texas is setting an example for the rest of the country.
Yeah.
With what is the bass? They
Texas,
call it.
Texas. It's like Texas Fest or whatever, or are you talking about like their DNR?
Yeah, their DNR, because like anytime anybody catches something, what is it, like over 10 or 12 pounds, like they breed those fish and then release them into other. So, you don't, as well as I do, you don't find not as many, at least anymore. You don't find those double digit fish up here like you used to.
I mean, 5 years ago, Chickamauga was punching them out every week.
Yep.
Knowing what you hear about one a year or two,
Yeah.
2 or 3 a year, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember whenever I first moved here, I caught several over 10 pounds, and I haven't caught them in a couple of years. So,
and Douglas, up my way, there for a little while, it had gotten to the point to where, summer, winter, fall, it didn't matter. You had to have 20 plus bag to win on that lake. And that's not the case there anymore. You'd always see, 7s, 8s, 9s, and occasionally that 10 on that lake. And you do not see that anymore. You can go out and fish those schools out deep now, and it's, you're lucky 2.5, 3 pounders. So it's things have changed. We put a lot of pressure on them. We love that the sport's growing. We love that there's more people out there, but the sport's going to have to grow itself along with the amount of anglers, I think. So, all right. So let's stop talking about that. I can't believe you ain't got all 3 trophies behind you. How could you do that to us? First off?
They are, but my wife, they got ditched for.
Oh, they're sitting in the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got ditched for Christmas ornaments.
So my second thing is, I had to go and kind of Photoshop a picture of you with the 3 trophies. How have we not had a picture of you with the 3 trophies yet?
I mean, I don't know. I came home and unloaded the boat and loaded up the hunting stuff and took off.
Yeah,
so
had to go. All right, so guys, I want to go ahead and we're going to get this done. We're going to let Taylor, go do whatever Taylor's going to do after he gets
go back to work. Go back to work.
Exactly. So I want to go ahead. Number 1. So you guys get questions for him about fishing. Anything you want to ask him right now is the time to ask him. Because what I'm going to do right now, and okay, I'm going to forgive me. I'm going to do this before. Well, did I not do it? I guess I didn't. So I'm going to get the giveaway together. All right, so we're going to start collecting. I'm going to go ahead and share this, figure out how I'm going to share it, because I always forget this part. You think I'd have this memorized by now. Let's see, share screen, Chrome tab. There we go. What just happened? There we go. All right, guys, hashtag 3-time, because Taylor is the 3-time champ. 3-time, baby. You just go around screaming that sometimes. 3-time, 3-time, 3-time. I would all the time. I swear to God. I just walk around. I'd be like, who I am? 3-time. All right. So, guys, go ahead. Get those entries in. I'm going to tell you what you're going to win again. Again, thanks to Donnie. I want to give him a big shout out. Hookup Fishing on Facebook, Donnie, right?
Yeah.
Hookup Fishing. Go check out his Facebook page. Lunker Beetle, Battle Beetle, Arashi, Deep Diver. Don't put your eye out with these. Got a couple. Got the Yum. You think I'd get that down too, don't you? sonar minnow, and that is the AU. How do you say it? IU, AU. How do you say it?
AU.
AU. It's AYU. Of course, the white for the Bass Munitions. They're a local company, and I'm sorry, guys, I forgot what they're called. I cannot believe I don't remember what they're called. And then, of course, the Fish Life box, and I cannot remember. I think it's FX Custom Rods is about the best place. Like they sell those on here. I think that's where it's at. Make sure you go check those out. Like I said, there'll be a link in the description after. And you can get all the stuff in that fish aid kit on Tackle Warehouse too. So, do you know anywhere where they sell that? By the way, have you ever seen that, man? That's a pretty cool deal.
That I believe that company was like in the hometown that I grew up in Alabama.
Yeah, I think so. Now I know
Alabama is where they started.
Yeah,
I think that's where they started. But I'm pretty sure they've got a website. You can check it out on their, find it on their website. And like you said, Tackle Warehouse as well has got those.
They do have a website, but they don't sell it directly on their
website. Okay.
But you can find distributors like Watson's Marine sells it. That's where I actually found them a few years ago. But that's just an awesome kit. Like I said, you can buy the individual stuff. Tackle Warehouse, what are you doing? If you can't sell a fish aid kit, you're crazy, man. You got to pick these up from these guys. Pick it up, Tackle Warehouse.
I'll tell you what, we might start carrying them on Omega.
Hey, listen. That's a. I mean, whoever come up with this from a marketing standpoint?
That's cool. Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool. So, all right. So let's go ahead and ask some more questions. What's your top 3 tied on right now? If you're fishing today, top 3 baits.
Well, a jig. Definitely a jig is always going to be tied on 100% of the time, everywhere I go. And then right now, I mean, if I'm just out fun fishing, I'm going to have an Alabama rig tied on. I mean, it's just, you'll
see one in just a minute, but go ahead.
And then it depends on where I'm at, but it's either going to be, man, that third one's hard. If I'm on the Tennessee River, it's going to be like probably either a chatterbait or a row trap. If I'm on one of these reservoirs, it's going to be either a like Kitech swim bait or a jerk bait.
So I'm going to ask you right now, and you can be selfless. You can selflessly promote Omega. What jig and jig color would you have tied on there?
It would definitely be a Pro Mega in probably Bama Crawl Pro Mega jig.
Bama Crawl, yeah, right now. So what are you gonna what weight?
7/16. I like a heavyweight.
I do too. I'm a heavy. Now this is why I was gonna say, where is it? That speaking of the Alabama rig, that I thought was funny because I just seen that when you said, like, immediately when you said it. So tips for an A rig. I've tried, but yet to catch anything on an
A rig. Man, the biggest thing about an Alabama rig is throw it around the fish. You got to be around the fish. Fish that are feeding on bait, they got to be feeding on shad. Change up your swim baits. So whenever you first start, put 3 different kinds, or we can only throw 3. So put 3 different kinds of swim baits on, and then you're gonna find one that they're gonna buy. Like in that particular one, like they'll be like, man, I've caught 3 fish and all 3 have bit this one. Change them all 3 to that same one, and it may change from day to day. Try a little skinny Kitech. Try just different kinds of swim baits and change it up, and you'll find something that they like.
Yeah. Now, I love an A rig. Like if there's one thing on God's green earth I love to throw, it is an A-rig. And for me, a lot of it is going to depend on the fish that you're around. It's going to depend on the watercolor and the wind too. You know, if I'm fishing around like largemouth, I want a very much subtler tail wiggle. So something like a skinny dipper, something that's got a nice tight wiggle. Because largemouth, they like to see it. They like to inspect it. You know, where like if I'm fishing up here and I'm gonna go with a shad color, some sort of shad color,
Yeah.
you know, just like Taylor said, put a couple different, put a Tennessee shad, a sight flash, put a couple things on there. The other thing, like if I'm fishing around spotted bass and smallmouth, I know I'm gonna get crazy with my color, and I don't care. Like rarely will you see me when I'm fishing around largemouth throw a swing fat impact, and the reason why is because those are great wintertime baits. They've got a great tail action, but if you're fishing them fast and they're waving too much, I always say pay very close attention to your bait fish in the wintertime. They've got a wide, slow tail wiggle, whereas opposed to the summertime, they're just real tight, real, just body shaking. And so for me, that's some tips that I can get you as far as, how I kind of do my baits. I'm a little picky about that stuff when it comes to my A-rig. All right, we got 32. Give me three. Let's get to 35 entries and we'll do the drawing. So Taylor, tell me, am I crazy? Am I overthinking the A-rig? Am I just overthinking it? I'm real bad about overthinking.
I don't want to throw it. The biggest thing is find the fish. That's the biggest thing.
And it is true. I like to throw it like right now and during the spring around wood. Throw it like you throw a spinner bait. And, especially lay down. So, you think about it up here, you've got those. I mean, every bank is like this.
Yeah.
And so you got those laydowns that go way out deep. So I'll stay back off of them and throw it out there and contour them. It's like a swim bait, a big glide bait. It's going to call them up out of that tree a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I love an A-rig. Can you tell? All right, let's see. Little Rich, give us a surprise worm or soft plastic color from last season that worked for you.
Man, soft plastic, it's not a surprise, but I love a Reaction Innovations beaver. I mean, it's if you're fishing in the springtime, you tie on a beaver, and I like the color's called Tramp Stamp, is what it's called, but you can't go wrong with it. It's like a green pumpkin on one side, black and blue on the other. And so it's like the best of both worlds. You got that green pumpkin, you got the black and blue, and you can throw it in just about any watercolor. And I teamed that up with a 3/8 ounce flipping tungsten and like a 4/0 or a 5/0 straight shank hook. And you can get your tungsten at Omega Custom Tackle.
There you go. All right. So can we count that as the what's the craziest color you go to when nothing else works too?
Yeah, that's about it. Green pumpkin, black and blue, and white. That's about all I throw. I keep things simple, man. I don't have time to tinker. Like
you can't carry everything with you either.
And so I keep my bait selection very simple. I keep black and blue, I keep green pumpkin, I keep a shad. That in everything. That's
there you go.
That's jigs. That's my plastics. I've got about 3 or 4 main colors that I've got confidence in, yep. and that's what I use. Like I think the biggest thing is find the fish. Once you find the fish, you can then dial in what bait you're going to use. Like this week, I like this worm. Like this is what I caught them on. Like it's a dark colored worm. Like, that's it. It's as old school as it gets. It's just you got to find the fish.
I agree with that. All right, we got 34. Come on, guys. One more entry and we'll draw, and we'll let Taylor go take a nap. Well, go back to work. Yeah, never mind. No nap for Taylor.
No.
So Shaky or Ned, which one you going to? Got to throw one.
If I'm fishing around wood, if I'm fishing around cover, I'm gonna throw a shaky head.
I
If
got you.
I'm fishing like a reservoir, fishing rock, like a long point, or fishing rock or something like that, and especially if smallmouth are around. If smallmouth are present, I'm definitely throwing the Ned. If largemouth are present, I'll probably throw the shaky head.
So, what's your favorite lake? Your favorite lake of all time?
Dude, that's hard now because I've traveled around and like, man, I don't know. Kissimmee was pretty fun.
Yeah, what was it? 20? What'd you say? 25 pounds in 30 minutes? That's about as much fun as you can have with your clothes on.
Yeah, 28.11 is what I weighed in. So, and lost about a 10-pounder. So,
Oh my God!
yeah. If y'all haven't watched, go to the NPFL, the National Professional Fishing League's YouTube page, and pull up day 3 and scroll through and like watch the first 30 minutes or 40 minutes of it. It's the most epic, like 30 to 40 minutes of live fishing that you've ever watched in your life. So.
All right. Come on, guys. One more. 34. We got 48 people in here. Come on. One more. What's one lure, bait, or technique that you enjoy using that isn't allowed in a tournament anymore, during a tournament
Oh, man, this is a piece of cake. Dynamite, of course.
Get a few good blasting caps and have a good time.
I don't know. I mean, we can't throw an Alabama rig, so
Yeah.
whenever I get a chance to do that, I do that.
All right. What is your favorite chatterbait trailer?
I've got 2 chatterbait trailers that I throw. One is a Reaction Innovations Little Dipper, and the other one is a Rage Menace.
Rage Menace. I like it.
If I'm trying to get the bait deep and keep it small and compact, I'm throwing the Little Dipper. If I'm trying to float the bait and keep it on top of grass or something like keep the bait up and high pushing, I'm going to throw something with a wider, the plastic. So that Menace, the tails or whatever, or, just anything with a wider profile is going to help keep that bait up on top of the grass or whatever that's going to be. Or trying to come through wood. If you're trying to come through wood, if you're throwing that swim bait, it'll roll. Where you get on that limb, if you're throwing the swim bait, it'll roll and you'll be hung. If you throw something like a beaver style bait or something that's got it'll ride up over that log or whatever, and you won't get hung up as much.
There you go, guys. Now there's some juice right there. I don't know. That's probably one of my, because I don't fish around a lot of grass, which I'm gonna hit him up to kind of teach me that sort of stuff. So we got our 35, but that is a great tip. And so this is going to be our last question. We're going to draw and we're going to let you go, brother. What's your number one swim bait color for cold, dark water?
If it's cold and dark, I'm not throwing a swim bait much. But if I had to, it's going to be, you're either going to want to throw like either a white or dark. So either like you're going to want to be either or on that spectrum, and it's all going to depend on like sunlight. So like if it's super, super bright out, you're going to be wanting to throw that white. If it's a dark day, you're going to want to throw a dark color. Yeah. And that's just so that the fish can find that bait.
All right, man. Let's do this drawing. That's cold and dark. That's when I'm throwing that swinging fat and whatever size that's matching the bait. Like you said, either a white or something that's a little darker, or maybe that electric blue chartreuse sort of thing. If I'm around smallmouth,
which would be on that bright spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the smallmouth love that color. So, all right, let me see what I'm doing here. Again, forgive me. Let's see who's going to win. All right, mainstream fishing. I'm guessing he's from Maine. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's just mainstream. Hey, man, you have won tonight's giveaway. Listen, just do me a favor. I'm going to put my email. There's my email. It's bassgeek.buyme@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and make sure I get your information. I'll go ahead and get that box sent out to you. I appreciate you being in here. There, yeah. Well, you won, man. So just give us a yell, and we will. Of course, now, guys, by the way, again, I want to say thanks to Kirkland's. I'll get that sent out to you, man. Kirkland's Restaurant, Big Stone Gap, Virginia. Every other Monday night, guys, we do this live stream live. I'm going to have to get Taylor to come up here. You know, it ain't that far. I got a spare bedroom. You ain't got to stay nowhere. Got a big, nice, queen-size bed in it. I promise. You know, you come up here, bring the wife, man. You know, we'll eat and have a good time. You can bring them 3 trophies and set them up. And, we'll just I'll take you out to South Holston, and we'll do some Damiki rig fishing one day.
Yeah.
So. But mainstream, go ahead and get a hold of me, and we'll get that done. And let's see here. Let me remove that and get us up here. So, man, go ahead, shout out all your sponsors. Anybody you want to say hey to, anything, go ahead and give them a yell.
Yeah, our boys at Bass Boat Electronics for sure. You know, I mean,
yeah.
they get us hooked up. They're local here to Knoxville. So if you're in the Knoxville area, and if you're not, get online, bassboatelectronics.com. They'll get it shipped out same day. I mean, they're on top of it. And if they say they got it in stock, it's right there. It's coming to you. So you get ready. And, you know, of course, Baitworks, Omega, y'all, I mean, just a huge part, just go follow Omega on Instagram, Facebook. We're constantly putting stuff out. We've got new apparel coming. It's like super nice stuff. We got some AFCO stuff that's coming, super nice. Be a great, you know, Christmas present for yourself or whoever. And go just give us a follow, and give me a follow. Taylor Watkins Fishing, Instagram, Facebook, the whole 9. Appreciate all you guys, and you know, give me a shout. We're always available. Try and make myself available as much as possible, and I appreciate everybody. Just help support us and keep following us and cheering us on. We appreciate it.
We'll do it, sir. And like I said, guys, when this video posts, I don't know if I'll get to it tonight, but for tomorrow, for anybody that's watching that hasn't, you know, seen it already, we'll put all of his links to his social media, all the links to Omega. Guys, make sure you go out and support him. He's an awesome dude, pretty much local to where I'm at. You know, my fishing area, as I call it. I get to come down and get my butt kicked on Watts Bar on the regular once or twice a year. You know, but he's a good guy, and I only see big things happening for him as we go through next year, man. Yeah. So, all right, brother. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody coming out to Kirkland's tonight and supporting the channel. And as always, you guys rock.